So a student just sent me a few astronomical photos that were taken by her boyfriend. And these are some of the best astrophotos I've ever seen from a person affiliated with our astronomy class. So I just want to show them to you. They're super cool. So this is the Pleiades. And you can see this is what we call like wide angle astrophotography. So these are images not taken through a telescope, but taken with a camera usually mounted to a telescope or some kind of tripod that moves with the stars. I can tell it's wide angle because how many stars are in this picture, and because I know how big the Pleiades is. You know, Pleiades is roughly the size of the moon, let's say, in the sky. So this image is covering a really large portion of the sky. And I also can tell that it's mounted to a telescope because the stars are all just points of light, right? Like one of the challenges of astrophotography is you need to take long exposures, and over that length of time, the stars are moving. So you need the camera to move along with the stars in order to get a really sharp, crisp picture. This is a really hard picture to get because the stars of the Pleiades are bright, but they're also surrounded with this beautiful cloud-like structure. And you can see that the cloud-like structure extends way out into space. Getting these kinds of images takes like hours of exposure time. So you need to be on an extremely dark night, and you need to take pictures that accumulate hours of light in order to see these really faint dark structures. So this is super cool. And getting when you're taking that long of an exposure, right, like you need your telescope alignment and your movement of the telescope to be really accurate so you don't get any blurring in any of the images. So here's another picture, and again, super awesome. This looks like it is M31, which is the Andromeda galaxy. This is the largest uh, galaxy in our night sky, like the biggest one as it appears, because it's the closest galaxy to us besides the Milky Way. And if I zoom in a little bit, you can actually see there's a secondary galaxy right below it. Now, when you look at M31, the Andromeda galaxy, through a telescope, all you can see with your eye is this bright center. It'll just look like a fuzzy cloud. And the only way to see this kind of detail is by taking a long exposure of the image. Now, I happen to know that the Andromeda galaxy is something like 6 full moons across. So to get a sense of how big this is in the sky, imagine putting 6 full moons all the way across this image here. So you can sense this is again a very wide angle image, right? Not through a telescope at all, but just with a camera set up on top of a mount. Beautiful picture. Um, let's look at this one. I don't know immediately. I'm guessing this is like the Trifid Nebula, but I don't know for sure. And you can see these like otherworldly colors. So this gets at kind of the what you might call the artistry of astrophotography, right? Like if you use different kinds of filters and combine them in different ways, you can create different color combinations, really any way you want to accentuate different features. And so, super cool, beautiful photo. And again, to see these dark bands is really not easy. Now, there's one last picture here I want to show you, which um, is also very difficult and confusing potentially. This is another wide angle shot, but this is of a comet. And what's fascinating to me about this is that you can see the stars are not points of light, but they actually have a line to them, right? The stars are moving in this picture. And that is because in this photo, the camera is not tracking with the stars. Instead, it's actually tracking with the comet. So you can actually set up a telescope or a mount so that it's tracking not at the precise rate of the stars, but at the precise rate of a comet. And what that allows you to do is capture the really fine, faint details of the comet itself. So here's the nucleus of the comet, and here's one of its tails, and you can see what looks to be its other tail pointing in the opposite direction, which is crazy. Beautiful, amazing photo. And I just want to highlight for you like how crazy it is that this comet, like if you were looking at it with your eye in the night sky and you could see it, it would look like it's just, stationary relative to the stars. But the comet is moving right through space, and it's moving relative to the stars. And even though you might not notice that with your eyes, when you want to take a picture of it, you can actually see that that's happening because the camera's tracking with the comet, which means the stars are slightly blurred. That means the comet is traveling like this way, right? Because the stars are moving kind of like backwards relative to it. There's a whole lot going on here, but it's really fascinating to me because this illustrates how the comet is moving, even over the course of what appears to be maybe a few hours. It's also cool because when you blur out the starlight, you can really see the different colors of stars. You can see very red stars, very blue stars, kind of yellowish stars like up here, and even white stars. So it's really awesome, awesome photos. Hey, if you have pictures like this, cool things that you find, send them to me because I love to be able to share them with the rest of the class. And I just think this stuff is super cool. So thank you.